for all the listeners, anybody who's a coach, especially if you're sitting down and you're thinking you need to have some crazy complicated path in order to have success, let Carly and I tell you right now, that is not the case. Do not go down this path of needing to do 10 different strategies. The most successful coaches I've ever seen or ever worked with, they had one strategy and they just followed it time and time again, and they were consistent. And most importantly, they followed through with delivering results.
Hey everyone, it's Carly here and you are listening to the Made for More podcast, and I'm so excited to bring this episode to you today. So I thought it might be quite cool. I actually get loads of feedback from people, and the episodes that you guys love the most are the ones where you feel like you're kind of listening into a chat, or like it's just a really kind of, you feel like you've just snuck into someone's conversation and you're having a good listen. And I was chatting to my friend Michelle the other day. We're working on a program at the moment. We've just created a 14-week coaching mastermind for coaches. So any coaches out there that are looking for some help and looking for some guidance, we're your girls. We'll tell you about it at the end. But we've been working really closely together, creating this amazing program, and we're just talking all the time on WhatsApp, going back and forth with all these things that we've learned and our experiences, and laughing about all these stories. And to be honest, I just really wanted to bring you into that conversation because I know that you're going to get so much from it as well. So you'll probably remember Michelle from one of my earliest episodes. She's an executive coach. She's coached for years. She's worked in corporate for years as well, and she's just an incredible NLP practitioner. She's a hypnotherapist and she's just amazing. I learn so much from her every day and I'm absolutely loving working with her. And we've got some weird kind of spiritual connection which I'm going to tell you all about. But yeah, I love this episode. We went off on a tangent, to be honest. We didn't really have any direction of where we were going to go. I just wanted to ask her kind of lessons that she's learned, and I shared my lessons, and we went off on a major tangent about money mindset, which just opened up a whole can of worms, and it is actually one of my most passionate subjects to talk about. I am going to do a whole episode on this, but yeah, I just love chatting to her, so I know you're going to get so much from it. I know you're going to love it, and I really feel like it is just an episode where you kind of snuck into our WhatsApp chat and just listen to the whole thing. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed it. If you do love it, which I'm sure you will, take a screenshot, add it onto your Instagram, and make sure you tag us and just let us know what bits you're loving. If there's one bit that you love, if there's one bit that you've got having a major takeaway from, please share it with us. And yeah, we just can't wait to share with you all of our lessons from entrepreneurship over the last however many years. There have been so many mistakes, so many faux pas, but also so much learning as well. So I can't wait to share it all with you. Enjoy. Amazing. Hey Michelle, how you doing?
Good. It's good to see you. Yes, I'm seeing you.
I know. I'm so excited to have you back because our episode that we did months ago, that's actually one of the episodes I get the most feedback on. Loads of people comment me and they're like, oh my God, I love this one. And just turns out everyone really resonated with that one a lot. And I had so much fun as well. It was one of my most fun ones doing it together.
Yeah, I had so much fun. I think you and I just have this crazy natural rapport, and we only met like 6 months ago.
I know. And I feel like I'm going to need to touch on our crazy report things because some weird things have happened. Like I always felt like we had like a good little connection. And I was like, oh yeah, I really like her. I'm really drawn to her. And then now I feel like we're some kind of weird kindred spirit, soul sister magicians.
No, we're definitely connected psychically. I'm not even messing around. Too many weird things have happened in the last couple of weeks. It makes me think, is this real?
I know, right? I need to tell you all what's happened. So we were both part of the Gabby Bernstein program, weren't we? The 21-day manifestation challenge. And Michelle messaged me the other day and she was like, "What's your sign, by the way? Mine's a white owl." And I said, "Oh, mine is the Matilda theme tune. You know, the one that's like send me away." Just makes me want to move my body. So it's that song. And I sent her a link to it and she was like, oh my God. She said, out of nowhere, I literally asked Alexa to play that when you were playing with Luca, isn't it? Your little boy.
Yeah. 2 days earlier.
Yeah. 2 days earlier, asked to play that song out of nowhere. And that was my sign. And we only would have, so this is the weird thing as well. The reason that I asked for that sign and what I asked for, I said to the universe, basically me and Michelle have joined forces. We've created this amazing coaching program, and I asked the universe, am I on the right track? Is this the right thing for us to be doing? And is this the right direction? Then obviously I asked my sign, and the universe played my sign to Michelle. And if it wasn't for us doing this program and her messaging me saying, hey babe, what was your sign? I never would have known. How nuts is that?
It is, but that's only one of many things that have happened. And I just have to add one more because it really trips me out. So yesterday I'm messaging Carly, and first of all, we're messaging each other all hours of the night because we're 8-hour time difference, but we both have children. So maybe middle of the night we're messaging. And she says, oh, I'm cracking on. I'm so like in the flow state, and I'm playing Ludovico Einaudi, which is what I play to my son every single night during bath time. It is the place that we are just like the happiest. And so I played for her my Spotify list, and it was the third most played song, which is one of her favorite songs. It just is such a strange thing because he's not so well known that everybody plays him at night. So it's just one of those things. It's just meant to be.
Oh, it's so meant to be. There is so much stuff like that, though, isn't it? It's just creepy. And you went to university in Reno, Nevada, and I lived in Reno, Nevada as well. That was my first job out of dance college, and I was like a showgirl in Reno. And then you were saying about when it was snowing the other day, you were telling me all about Lake Tahoe, and I was like, oh my God, I love Lake Tahoe. That's like my place I want to go. So yeah, there's something weird going on, isn't there?
But it's a good thing. And I think it's kind of a reminder that you don't need to search for people who are like you. You don't need to search. And I think of so many times people think that they're looking, whether it's a romantic partner, a business partner, or friends or family, whatever it is, people are also searching for you and they just don't even know it. So just sit back, let the universe kind of connect you.
Yeah, totally. And I think just being 100% yourself as well, and being okay in that place, and trusting that when you are 100% yourself, you're going to attract the exact same energies. They may even be weirdly related to you in some way.
Weird is the right word. And I love it.
I know. I love it as well. I'm all for it. But yeah, I absolutely love that. So the reason I wanted to get you on as well is that because we are chatting all the time and we're always like voice noting and saying loads of stuff, we have so many stories and so many things that pop up, and we're like, oh, I remember doing this and I learned this before, and we're always sharing stories. And I was thinking this would be so helpful for all of my listeners to listen to, because there is so much value in the stuff that we've learned before and the mistakes that we've made and the things that we kind of regret, or or no regrets, or things that we've learned from. And so I just thought it'd be really cool if we could just literally have a chat, put a microphone onto our daily meandering
voice notes
and just share them with everyone else, because I mean, you've got so much experience in this field and so much history. I was just talking about corporate actually, because today I've spent the whole day on my laptop in Evernote. By the way, Evernote, Michelle has introduced me to. Evernote is the most amazing platform ever.
So helpful.
It's so helpful. Like all of my thoughts and everything is going into Evernote. And I had a dream last night, and the whole dream was structured in Evernote notes. It was like a visual dream in sections. It was so weird. But what was I saying?
We were just talking about you were doing the corporate
and I was like fully in it, and all day today I've been sat at the computer doing this, and it's draining. So just want to shout out to anyone that is in corporate, and when you come home and you're exhausted, I'm not surprised. And you were saying that your old job used to get up at
like I used to walk into the office at 6 a.m. before 6 a.m. because I had the entire country, and obviously we have 3 different time zones. We technically have 4 if you add Hawaii. Yeah. And get home 6 o'clock, do work till 8 p.m. And there's a lot of people who are out there grinding. And I think it's one of the reasons why, when I moved into the coaching business, and I kind of floundered for a while, because it's such a different world when you're walking away from a 9-to-5 and you're going into working for yourself. There's this huge learning curve and a ton of mistakes are made. And this is one of the things I see so often when people are making that leap from their corporate job into working for themselves. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, I completely lost myself when I went from, I was never corporate either. I was doing every other job, like random jobs, but going from being an employee to being full-time business owner, I definitely lost myself for a bit. I definitely was the least productive I've ever been in my life, which is weird because I had so much time. But yeah, it's a hard transition, isn't it? You kind of lose your identity. I know this happened for my mum as well. My mum was a prison governor, and then she started her business that enabled her to retire. And then she left and was just doing her business. And she was like, I don't really know who I am anymore. I've been this person for years. But
Oh, it's structure. We all crave structure. And I think that's one of the big lessons. And I know we're going to dive into some of the lessons that we've learned, over the years running our own business. But number one is you have to maintain some kind of structure. You have to self-impose.
yeah, for
Everybody
sure.
needs it.
It's so funny doing this program together. You've you're the way you work is the opposite end of the spectrum to the way I work. So it's actually really good for me though, because you're like, get it all done first, and I'm a get it all done just in time kind of person. But you are so structured, and there's tables and there's graphs and there's bullet points, and I'm all for it. So I've taken on a little bit of your working, and I'm enjoying it.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Because I felt I had to leave a voice note for you. It's like 3 a.m. my time. And I'm like, don't be alarmed when you open up the Evernote and you see that I've added all of these tables and all of these bullet points with sub bullet points, and the sub bullet points have sub bullet points below those. But honestly, it's my Capricorn brain. I'm very detail oriented. And also, it always trips me out when my husband says orientated. And I'm like, it's oriented in the US.
Oh no,
So
it's orientated.
don't be surprised. I'm so detail oriented. Also, you guys, sidebar, rocket and arugula. I just have to say, it's
No,
arugula.
arugula. It's just the weirdest word. Surely it started out as rocket, and then you
No.
guys just butchered it.
No,
Okay,
I don't know. We'll look that up later.
potato, but I'm sticking with rocket. I can't bring myself to say arugula. Right, I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
First of all, because last time we were speaking on our podcast, you were a fresh new mum. You were, I
Yes.
think Luca was about, how old is he? He must have been about 4. Was he about 4 months, I think?
When you and I started the
When we did
program.
the podcast, yeah.
Oh, no. He was probably 7 months. He
Was
turned
it?
1 yesterday. Yeah, he turned 1 yesterday.
Ah.
Yeah.
So how have you been finding working as a new mum? What are your golden nuggets for all the mums listening?
Oh my gosh.
What have you learned?
So many. I think the word that comes to mind that I think every working mom, whether they're in corporate or working for themselves, needs to take on is just grace. Grace for the situation, grace for themselves, grace for whatever comes their way, grace for when your child decides to have a blowout on the one time that they decide to nap, just grace for all of it. And I think being a very type A, kind of a recovering perfectionist, I kept having the mindset that it's going to get easier when, and I kept looking forward and just saying, okay, it'll be easier when he sleeps more. It'll be easier when those teeth finally come through. It'll be easier when I finally get this program underway. And I'm realizing that I need to stop looking ahead and stop looking behind. Oh, it was easier when. I need to stop that too and just say, okay, here's where I am today. What can I accomplish today? I'm really taking, what are the needle moving activities, and all the fluff has got to go. I used to have time for all the fluff. I used to be able to make everything look so perfect and pretty and all the things. And now it's not just about getting out the perfect thing. It's about what's going to really make the biggest impact and what's going to allow me a little bit of sanity. And the other thing that I've learned, and this is actually something that I learned from an Australian man, and I'm totally spacing his name right now, but he said, you need to think about what are the 3 things you need to do every single day to feel like a human being, right? And for me, it's I need to eat. And I know that sounds like a basic need, but some people are like, I can skip a couple meals or whatever, be fine. No. Hangry, I am scary. I need to sleep. That one's suffering a little bit right now, but I also have to shower. I do not feel like a human being until I have showered. Showering is my number one. And so now, no matter what's going on in the day, I book that in. First thing, I tell my husband, I'm showering, even if it's just 5 minutes. And that's been a huge takeaway is what are the things? So I would just encourage anybody listening right now, really think about what are the 3 things you need to do to feel like a human being to make sure you never, ever, ever skip those and just fit them in, make it work.
Yeah, so true. Yeah, you just have to have those things, don't you? Where you're like, I'm a functioning adult today. I made a first date. We're good. We're adulting. We're adulting well. Yeah, it is weird. I think what I've definitely learned from being a mum and running a business is that not every, like, this sounds so cliche, but not every day is the same. So don't try and make every day the same. Don't get stressed because the routine that you nailed yesterday isn't going the same today. I feel like the whole what everyone's had to do in the pandemic and just pivot and everything like that. I feel like as a mum, you have to pivot every day and just
Every
think,
day.
okay, right, how can I just make this work today? And just figure it out. And like you say, just kind of, give yourself grace. And I think I've definitely learnt to prioritize self-care a little bit more, even more so, weirdly, that I've got like less time. I think I've definitely prioritized it even more.
You
It's so
need to.
important.
If you don't recharge your batteries, you're not good to anybody.
Yeah.
You have a young son, you need to make sure that you're functioning for him. At the end of the day, when you push yourself until your battery is empty, you and everybody else, myself, everybody, it actually takes way longer to recharge than if you
Yeah.
just took 5 minutes out of the day to just be good to yourself.
Yeah. So true. What's your wind down self-care go-to?
It used to be, and I had to get rid of it because it became a time suck, but it used to be YouTube videos of like America's Got Talent or Britain's Got Talent, like just really
Really?
talented people. Yes, obsessed. Because I would get teary-eyed and because I would love when they hit the golden buzzer and it just made me really, really happy. But when I flicked on, YouTube, I could be there for a half an hour and I don't have that luxury anymore.
Mhm.
So now I actually have meditations on my phone that are my go-to meditations. 15 minutes, get it in, deep breathe exercise. That's my go-to now. But before I had children, before I had a child, yeah, all day, every day. YouTube.
Really? Oh,
So good.
what's your go-to meditation? Is it an app or is it YouTube? Like random?
It's an app actually. So I do have the Calm app and I love the Calm app. Those are a little bit longer. I do this before bed. Meditation is like one amazing thing that I added to my life many years ago that makes a huge difference. But it's actually an app. It's Abraham Hicks. It's an Abraham Hicks
Oh
app. And no, this is not sponsored. This is just what I do every day. And they
yeah.
have four of them. They have general well-being, physical well-being, financial well-being, and relationship well-being. And I love them. Love them.
Nice. Oh yeah, I like Abraham Hicks. I'm gonna check that out. Thanks, babe.
It's so good.
Okay, the next question I want to ask you is, what is the worst thing you've ever bought for your business, or what's the worst financial investment or mistake you've ever made? You're like, oh damn, that was so a waste.
Oh God. I could probably name about $100,000 worth of things easily. I think it's not just one, but it's really bucketed into one big idea. And it's the thought that I needed something that I didn't need. When I first started in business, I bought everything, every platform, every webinar, everything. And I spent so much money before I had even made a dollar. It made no sense. That's why I've gotten rid of all of that. And I streamline my processes for my clients now. Like you can get away with starting a business for under $100 and start making money. So
Mhm.
that's one piece. But also I invested in some very high ticket masterminds and I did not do my due diligence on really understanding who was teaching it, what it was really about, what the transformation was going to be. I was really caught up with, the people doing it versus what was I going to get out of it?
Mhm.
So, yeah, I've spent way too much money on that. But that was,
Yeah.
again, looking back, that was a lesson for me and a learning. And I could definitely teach people what to watch out for.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the biggest things that you need to look out for when you're looking for a coach or someone that you're going to invest and get into a mastermind with is like what's their intention? Like if they're always busting
Mm,
out courses and they're always selling these courses, that's probably a sign that that person is wanting to make money. Like they're in it for the
mhm.
profit. If it's more like a longer mastermind and this is their one thing that they're really putting a lot of like time and effort into, it probably shows that they care about results. They care about service to their client. And I think that's a really important thing when you're looking at people online and thinking, who should I invest in? Like, who should I really follow? It has to be someone that is committed to your results, I think.
Oh, I could not agree more. And you can tell in you having the conversation. Sales calls shouldn't be sales calls. They should be really understanding what does a client need versus what are you trying to sell. And then I think the other big piece is to your end of having totally different courses and going all which directions. Nobody is so brilliant that they can do everything perfectly. So if they're not really going deep in one lane, you got to wonder how in depth is that program, or are they the ones teaching it? Or where are they getting their information from? So yeah, big time. Big time. That's a
I
mistake I made
know.
too. I've spread myself too thin trying to learn all the different things. Spent so much money and then I didn't even follow through. That was on me.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? There's so much information out there. It's so easy to listen to something. You're like, yes, this is the direction that I want to go. And then you end up down a rabbit hole of all these random courses and then add-ons and things like this. And then you hear another podcast or another webinar and you're like, yes, this is the thing. And yeah, you have to stay so focused. And I think like have an awareness of the direction you want to go in, but also where you're at in your own business, and just think, is this the thing that's going to move my business forward and where I want to go, or is this just a really cool thing for someone to do? Yeah. I mean, I've definitely made that mistake a lot in my life.
You said my favorite word, focus, which is follow one course until successful. It does not matter what direction you take. If you really truly just do it and stick with it, you will be successful. But if you try and pivot every 5 minutes, you're never going to get anywhere. You're just going to make this giant kind of like snail circle situation.
Yeah, so true. And that's another thing, actually. I was writing something today for our program, and I was talking about creating influence and things like that. And one of the most important things, I think, in order to create influence and in order to create raving fans, people that will just follow your every move and be like, yeah, whatever you do, I'm totally on board. I fully trust you, is to follow through what you say you're going to do and lead from integrity. And so if you're always switching course and, people are watching you and following you, and at one point you're talking about this and then another point you're going on this direction, you just lose that trust. And the person, your clients watching you are thinking, I don't think she actually knows where she's going. Like, she's not the one for me to follow. She's not the one for me to trust because she looks lost.
Yeah, that's not my captain. I don't want to be on that boat.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, I think it's so important to choose a direction and stick with it and just go for it wholeheartedly.
And honestly, for all the listeners, anybody who's a coach, especially if you're sitting down and you're thinking you need to have some crazy complicated path in order to have success, let Carly and I tell you right now, that is not the case. Do not go down this path of needing to do 10 different strategies. Honestly, the most successful coaches I've ever seen or ever worked with, they had one strategy and they just followed it time and time again, and they were consistent. And most importantly, as she's already mentioned, they followed through with delivering results. That's the thing. Be so caught up in giving the best program possible that the other stuff is just small details.
Totally agree. Can I tell you my biggest financial?
Please. Oh God, I'm afraid. The look on your face, you guys, if you should see this.
No, do you know what? It wasn't even that bad. Like in terms of like how much money I lost, it wasn't loads, but at the time it was gut wrenching because I was so broke, so broke. And I started a dressmaking company called Carly Can Make That. And I would just go and I'd spend all of my money on fabric. And I just decided that I thought I knew what people wanted. And it was these random tartan cooking aprons. I don't know why. I don't know why I thought the whole world needed these tartan cooking aprons. Anyway, so I bought like just so much tartan fabric, spent all my money on that, created all these things. And then obviously like no one wanted them. I was going to these craft fairs and I was trying to sell them. And at this point, selling those aprons was food on the table. That's like where I was at. And it was just, in the grand scheme of when I look back at it now, it wasn't a massive financial decision, but it was one of the most gut-wrenching ones, and one of the most ones that I really remember, because stood at that craft fair with all of these crap cooking aprons that I'd spent like days and weeks making, and with such hopes that I was going to sell all of them and make all this money. It was such a stinger. It was such a disappointment. I was so gutted. I mean, it did actually make me then completely pivot and think this is not the business model for me. This is not the one that's right. But yeah, I just remember that one. Like I remember so much. And I actually remember as well, I made a dress for someone and she didn't like it. I started to get really creative with it and put my own creative flair in it. And she didn't like it and she didn't pay me. So again, that was another faux pas. I didn't get even the deposit before I made the dress, and she didn't pay me. And that was another one where her not paying me meant that I was going to go into my overdraft and get fined. And it was just
that's so hard. But what did you learn? So you didn't sell all these aprons. I want one for Christmas, by the way.
I mean, they're horrendous. My mom still wears one, bless her. Every Christmas I go a little apron. I'm like, oh, my little supportive mum in her apron.
That's so sweet. She makes it like a huge skirt out of them, just keeps wrapping them around.
Yeah, I know.
But you had to have learned something, because there's always, in every disaster, there's a lesson. So what would be your big takeaway from it? What was your biggest lesson other than do not try and sell these aprons to make a living?
I definitely learned you have to do your market research. Like, don't think, you have to understand who you're trying to sell to. You need to understand your audience. You need to understand what they want. You need to understand if there's actually a demand for your product. You may be mad passionate about these tartan aprons and you want one, but it doesn't mean that everyone else wants one, and it doesn't mean that there's a demand for it. So that was my number one. If anyone is listening to this and you are creating a product, or you have created a product, make sure you do your due diligence and do your market research and make sure there's a demand for it, and that's what actually people want, and that you're reaching out and targeting the people that want that exact product as well. So make sure you're getting that right. And then the second thing I learned is definitely to not be scared of charging.
Cool.
Like having the conversation. I was so scared of like can you pay me 50% deposit? You know, I was so scared about it. I hated talking about money. I hated asking for the deposit. And so I was so chilled and relaxed with it. I was like, yeah, just give me the money after. That was a major learning for me, because all of my money went into making that dress and she never paid me and I just got no money. And that was a killer, because I put so much into it and I should have asked. You know, I was trading my skills and my effort and my time, and it's not wrong to be compensated for that. It's not wrong to want to be compensated for that, and you should actually just own that. So that was my other lesson.
So if I could ask you, how did you shift your money mindset? Because that's a money mindset issue right there.
Yeah.
So how did you get to the point where you're saying, here's my value, here's what I bring to the table, here's the equal exchange of goods for it, or whatever, money in this case. How did you get there?
Oh, to be honest with you, babe, that transition happened probably just over a year ago. Like, still at that point, my money mindset was awful. I've earned really, really good money for a really long time now. And still my money habits, my money mindset, my money just behavior was just shocking. It was really, really bad. As soon as money would come in, I would rinse the entire thing. And I remember messaging my friend Amy and saying, hey, I've got a magic trick. And she was like, what is it? And I was like, I can make $7,000 disappear in 10 minutes because I literally just rinsed like an entire bunch of money on God knows what. And then, the thing that kind of changed, how did that change? Really just kind of getting so fed up of myself and thinking, I earn really good money. I've worked really hard for this my entire life, and I'm as poor as I was when I was making cooking aprons. Like, this has to change, because I could be a billionaire and at the end of the month, I will still be scraping for a tenner. If I don't get this in check, this spending, it's nuts. So yeah, definitely had like a moment of that. And then, but that actually, the thing that really changed the whole thing was I decided to just face the reality of everything. I decided to face it. And up until that point, I just like hid away from all financial things. I hated it. I hated opening bills, hated looking at my bank statement, hated looking at anything. You know, it gave me such a negative response in my body. And so I just decided to actually face it and think, okay, well, this is my situation. I need to change it. And I have actually completely 180'd my whole financial mindset. And I was even laying in bed with Kurt last night and I was thinking, and I said to him, I was like, do you know that any amount of money is possible for us? And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, just any amount. Like, you just decide what you want, you figure out how to make it happen. And there is an abundance of money. There is an infinite amount of money, and that is available for all of us. So we can get whatever we want. And that was a massive like changing and thinking. And like, I think the reason I used to spend all my money so quickly was that I used to just think, there's a short supply of it. So if I get it, I'm like, oh God, I need to do stuff with this right now. And just that way of like, that change in thinking, there is money everywhere for all of us, every single one of us. And just because you get some money doesn't mean you take it away from someone else. So yeah.
That's just it, is they think if I eat, that means somebody else doesn't eat. And that's not the case, right? The world is abundant. The earth is abundant, you know, if we keep being good to it. Let me ask you, do you have a pay it yourself first bank account set up? Do you know what that is?
Oh, yeah. Where I set up my bank accounts. I actually haven't done it like this, but ages ago, I said this was a part of my transition. I have like a play account, and then
Mm-hmm.
like an education account, and then a financial freedom account, and then a rainy day account, or whatever it is. I can't remember what they're called now, but
You
yeah.
don't have a pay yourself first account.
Oh,
Okay,
tell me.
guys. This is such a game changer for money mindset. This is what most people do worldwide. They get a check, right? Whatever comes in their bank account automatically, and they think, I need to pay my credit card. I need to pay the mortgage. I need to pay the rent. I need to make sure that the dog has food. I need to make sure that my kids got nappies, all the things. That's the first thing that people do when they get money. And what that says energetically is money's not for me. Money is for other people. It's like trying to play basketball. I don't know. Do you guys play basketball? Do you ever play basketball?
Personally, no.
Okay. This is
But
for
as a
my
nation, we
for my
do.
Americans out there who understand the basketball, but it's like saying, somebody passes you the ball and you don't even take the time to fully catch it. You just immediately try and get rid of it.
Mhm.
You don't actually have any stability to aim where you're going. You don't actually feel like you ever have any control. And so by doing this one thing, which is paying yourself first, setting up account, this is what I suggest. And this is actually from The Richest Man in Babylon from years ago. 10% of every dollar you earn goes straight into an account where you pay yourself. In this account, you never touch a dollar. Never. You
Ooh.
don't use it to pay off debt. You don't use it to pay for emergencies. You don't ever use it for anything because it's an energy builder. Basically, you're saying, hey, this money here is just my like growth. I get to watch it grow. It's
Mhm.
not for any purpose other than I'm paying myself. So if energetically you're shifting from money's for other people, it's for me, right? But also you will spend 10% less. People always say, if I don't have that 10%, I'm not going to eat. If I don't have that 10%, I'm not going to pay rent. Nope, you make it happen.
Mhm.
Everybody spends what they earn. If you
Yeah.
just hid 10% away, you would never even know about it and you would spend less.
Yeah, for sure. That's so powerful having that money
Mhm.
sitting in an account. I actually do that sometimes when if I've had like £10, I leave it on the side and like in my house and I just leave it there and I go about my life and it stayed there for like months, right? This was the real shift for me because normally if there was
Yeah.
£10, I was on that literally like, oh my God, I got £10. What can I buy for £10? And now I just leave it on the side and then it reminds me every time that I'm like, there is always money available.
I
It's
love
always there. Yeah. But I like the idea as well of having that money in the account. Um, and paying yourself first. Again, that's like a subconscious shift in
that.
your value as well. And
Hmm.
but I definitely think when it comes to services, like offering your services, whether it's coaching, whether it's whatever, or selling a product, knowing how to charge is really hard, isn't it? Especially when you're charging for your service, something that you
Yeah.
could give away for free. Like you could physically give away your coaching for free, but still charging, that's a really hard thing, isn't it?
It can be. I got over that pretty fast because I first of all, it cost me a fortune to get all of my credentials I needed for neurolinguistic programming. So I'm a trainer of NLP. That cost me 3 years of time, really like months and months away from my husband because you have to actually be in the training site and center. So besides time, tens and tens of thousands of dollars because it's a really hard thing to get to. And so when somebody would say, "Well, I don't really have a lot of money," and I used to take on any client. This was a huge mistake that I made. I would take on anybody and they would say, "I can only pay you $50." And I would feel bad, like I have to help. But if I look at the exchange of value from what it cost me to get to the place where I have the knowledge to be able to help that person, it was such a really bad exchange of energy that I was burnt out super fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I just said, no, like, what is this worth? What is this time worth? Not just in making them feel better and get over whatever hurdle they have, but then they get to make more money because they've cleared out any limiting beliefs that are stopping them.
Mm-hmm.
Then they don't have to keep going to the doctor because they're getting rid of the ailments, all the stress and all the things that are happening. So, yeah, it was when I worked with a client, one of my first clients, and he said, "What do you charge?" And I just decided before we had that conversation, I said, "I'm going to stay with the amount that I think in my heart is right." And it was $800 an hour. I said, "It's $800." And I thought, and I paused and I had nothing attached to it if they said yes or no. And he said, "Okay, well, let me pay you now for 2 sessions."
Love
And
it.
he pulled out a checkbook. Also, who has a checkbook? But he pulled out a checkbook and he wrote me a check and he handed it to me. And I was just like, wait, what? And that was the proof that I needed
Mhm.
that people are out there are willing to pay for what it takes to get better.
Yeah, totally. 2 points on that. One is that the girl that you were like, oh, I've only got $50. And when you say no to her, she would most likely then go and do something and figure out how she can get that money. And then when she's sitting in that coaching call with you, she's going to feel so much more. She's going to feel so proud of herself that she's gone and she's like made it happen. And now she's invested in herself, and she's going to take more. She's going to invest in that call a lot more. She's going to like really, really embrace it and say, right, this cost me a lot. I need to make the most of this. Whereas if you had said, yeah, no worries, I'll do it for $50, she probably wouldn't come at it with the same focus and energy. So that is so, so important. And then the other thing is that I remember, I think might have been a Gabby Bernstein thing that I heard ages ago, when she was talking about money, and then she says, so say your amount and then stop talking. Like, don't justify it. It's so easy to say it's $800. I do this. So like I've trained for 3 years to do NLP and blah, blah, blah. And that's what lots of people do as well, isn't it? They say their price and then they justify, but you just have to stop. And that is exactly what you did. And it worked perfectly.
You just stop. Sorry. I'm so passionate about this topic. I did hypnobirthing when I was preparing for my son, and I was working with this woman, and I got on a discovery call with her. And she, for an hour, first of all, I was invested in purchasing from her no matter what the cost was, because I did my research. I really liked her and I believed in hypnobirthing. And she talked for an hour trying to sell me on it. And I was just like, you need to stop selling. Because I kept saying, yep, I'm in. Yep, I'm in. And she just wanted to keep telling exactly like you were saying. And when she finally said the amount, you guys, this is ridiculous. It was 6 in-person hypnobirthing classes. She came to my house. It was $500.
Wow.
And when she said that amount, and I thought she meant per session, and it was $500 total. I live in Los Angeles. It takes her more in gas money to come here. So she was way undercharging her value and didn't even realize it. So we can't assume what the other person is feeling ever.
Yeah.
And if she said $20,000, and I would be like, you know what? That's not a good match for me, but I know someone else will be. And just walk away with love. It's okay. Not everybody has to work with everybody.
Yeah, totally. So true. Oh man, the money mindset thing, it just gets me going. It's so powerful. Like when I realized that I had an entire like tuning of thought processes that was so deeply ingrained in me, and that was affecting my entire behavior with money. I thought it was all external things. I thought it was all the reason I didn't have money was because I didn't have the right job or my business hadn't got to a certain place, and it's not. It's literally all in your mind. And so yeah, this is why I could literally talk about money mindset just forever, because there's so many elements of it. And once you truly free yourself from the crazy thinking and just retune it and reprogram it, anything is possible. Seriously, anything is possible.
Anything good is, your external circumstances are an inside job, period.
Yeah, 100%. So on that note, what is the best purchase you've ever made for your business, or what's the best investment you've ever made?
Okay. Remind me, because I don't know if I've told you this before. Did I tell you about Italy? Have I told you about Italy? Was that on the last podcast?
You told me that you were there and then you started writing your book.
But did I say this? Maybe, okay. You know what? Maybe nobody's heard this before. So I was at this conference with this woman, Marcia Weeder, who is a brilliant genius of a coach. And she was on her way to move from San Francisco to Rome, Italy. And I love this woman. She charges $20,000 a day to work with her. And by the way, you guys, she gets it because she's worth it. And I'm sitting in this huge kind of conference with her, and it was a 2-day conference, and I'm with my husband, and I just said to him, and I looked over and I said, if she ever did a training session in Rome, I don't care what it costs, I would be in for it. And then she stands on stage as it's closing, and she says, I'm taking 4 women with me to Rome for a week to do coaching. And I looked at my husband, and I didn't know what it cost or anything like that. And I just looked at him, and he goes, follow your heart. I jumped up and I ran, because 4 women, that's not a lot. There were 600 people in the room. I ran with my credit card I found her CFO, and I was like, I don't care what she says next. Just like, I'm first. And I was 4th. 3 other women had already jumped up and purchased that. But there I learned, I created my business there. I pivoted everything about my business there. And I never looked back. That was the best investment I have ever made. I wrote my book in Rome. Like, it was the best thing I'd ever done.
So good. I mean, it sounds like you totally manifested that as well, by the way.
Oh my God. It was all the things that had to come together, including like being at this conference. It's hard to take time away, but when your heart, and now she actually wrote on the back of my book, she wrote a little like praise for the book, and She's brilliant, but it was not cheap. It was $25,000 for that week, which is cheap considering what she charges usually a day. But I've made that and then some,
Yeah,
and then a lot
totally.
actually. So it was worth it.
Well, you just focused on the value first, didn't you, and not the money? And that's, I know it's so easy when you're in, like, because I've fully been there. I've been in the place where I've had zero money, and the first question I've always asked is, how much is it? Or like, how much is it going to cost me? And it just go into like instant fear mode. As soon as I hear something that I'm like, oh God, that would be so good, just gone into instant fear mode. But just that switch of thinking, yeah, but what's the value? Like, what is this going to enable me to do? It's a whole different thought process. And that's exactly what you did. You focused on the value, you thought about what it's going to enable you to do and when it's going to take you. And then the money comes after, doesn't it? I literally imagine you like, those films where the bride is throwing the bouquet and there's like a crazy guest in the wedding and like trying to catch the bouquet. That's how I imagine you, like elbowing people out of the way in the aisles of that conference.
That happened. I have to say though, for anybody listening, I had no money at the time. It was actually I did not have the money like sitting in a bank account. In fact, it was my husband, who is English, wasn't allowed to work in the US yet. So we were waiting. They lost his green card, they lost his visa. So we were in the most expensive city in the country, in San Francisco. I was making whatever amount of money. I did not have the money for this. Like I ended up selling stock for it, whatever, went into my savings. Did not have the money. Like I was really stretched thin, but it was so worth it. When you know, you know. And yeah, I was at a wedding once where I was like, I don't even care if I get the bouquet. The woman throws it back, it hits a beam and it lands in my lap. I wasn't even in the crowd of people. It hit a beam and it just went straight down and landed on me. It's like, what? And that's manifestation right there.
It totally is. That is the exact epitome of when you're okay with where you are and you don't need something to be happy. That's when it falls in your lap.
That's when it falls in your lap for everything.
So
but you have to take action. Yeah, I at least caught it, right? Some action.
You caught it, but then you've actually got to like do the thing.
So true.
What is my best investment? My best purchase? I mean, I was really proud at the moment, like recently this week when I upgraded my Evernote, I thought, yeah, I'm in. I've got the premium package.
We need to be ambassadors for this company.
I know, we really do. If there's some kind of affiliate link, we're really not. But it's just I'm so bought into it. So yeah, that was a great investment. What other great investment was it? Oh, I don't know.
Why did you invest?
Actually, working with you was an incredible investment.
Why did you do this?
Because I just needed that. I needed someone to just get me out of my head. Like I needed that person to be able to say, this is what I'm thinking. And I needed someone to just keep bringing me back and saying, no, this is the focus. That's exactly it. I needed the focus. I needed someone to keep bringing me back. Stop getting me caught down these rabbit holes and say, this is it. Follow this one track. This is the thing you're doing. And so yeah, that was an amazing investment for me. I made massive progress in our thing together. And that's why I was so excited to work together as well, because I feel like we just work so well together, don't we? I feel like we've literally pieced together the best parts of our career so far, but also the things that we're missing from all of the different courses and experiences that we've done. We've literally been like, yeah, this one was missing that and this one was missing that. And so actually us getting caught in all these rabbit holes has actually been good for us now. Because
no, it's a good thing.
Brought this together and thought, okay, this is actually what we need.
Well, that's why. So for anybody who doesn't know, Carly and I are actually running a group coaching mastermind coming up. And the very first section is going to cover mindset, because I've done so many coaching programs in my lifetime. And with the exception of going through neurolinguistic programming, obviously that is all mindset. Nobody's really tackled what's happening in the brain, what's really happening in the mindset, what's happening in the subconscious to completely sabotage your efforts. Because it does not matter if you have the best product and marketing strategy and you have all the money in the world to make it happen. If your mindset is poo-poo, I'm going to use poo-poo. This is how you know I have a 1-year-old. If your mindset is poo-poo and your mindset's saying, you know what, you're not worthy, or you shouldn't receive this, or you can't put yourself out there, or if you be seen, something's going to be bad, you're never going to have a successful business. So that's why I was so excited when we tackled mindset as our very first pillar, because I haven't seen this in a coaching program before, and I don't know why.
Well, especially a coaching program for coaches, because I feel like coaches feel like they should have all that nailed. And actually, they're probably the last ones to say, do you know what? I need some help. Like my mindset is all over the place. I'm doubting myself. I've got imposter syndrome. I've got no idea what to charge for my services. I'm completely underpricing myself. That freaks me out. And, they're really common thought processes for a lot of coaches, but actually a lot of them are reaching out saying, I need help here. And, for any, like, even though coaching and therapy is completely different, any therapist has a person to offload on. They have to have that resource and that outlet where they go to and they say, I have taken on so much from other people. I've taken on so much energy and given so much of myself. I just need to offload. And I feel like this is where our program is amazing as well, because we literally give coaches that place to be so vulnerable and so open and so honest and say, this is actually what I need help with no feeling of, like just letting go of the ego a little bit and just saying, this is where I need help. And the mindset is the crutch of all of it, isn't it? Like you get that sorted, it all comes from there.
That's why it has to be first. And somebody said to me a long time ago, I've always had coaches. I still have a coach. Every coach should have a coach because, and she said to me a long time ago, well, brain surgeons don't operate on themselves. You need to have somebody to work with. Don't self-diagnose, don't self-help. Do all the things you can and look to somebody else for help, period.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like also as well, the best coaches are the ones that don't stop learning. And the same with in network marketing with what I do, like the best leaders are the ones that don't stop learning. You don't just get to the point where you're then coaching and leading other people and think, I know it all. More than ever, you need to fill your cup up. Like that's the time to really knuckle down with your own growth, because otherwise you're going to reach a limit and you're going to peak. And, you don't want your clients to be outgrowing you still need to be able to offer that value. So I'm a massive fan of whatever level you're at, still hugely investing in yourself and your own growth. But I love working together. It's so funny because I feel like we definitely complement each other really well. And we're coming at it from completely different angles as well, which is why I really think that all the gaps are filled, in terms of like marketing and sales and mindset and just everything is a full road, like a full blueprint, isn't it? And I feel like it just covers all bases. I get so excited about it.
I do too. It's going to be so much fun. So much fun.
I'm so excited as well. Okay, last question. What would you say to your 16-year-old self?
My 16-year-old self, first of all, I want to paint the picture of my 16-year-old self. I'm Asian. Most people, maybe you don't know this. I'm Asian. I grew up in a primarily Caucasian city where I was the only person in my school that looked different. I was short. Had glasses. I was super flat chested. You guys, I was made fun of so much and I loved to nerd out. And I was bullied a lot and I took everything super personally. And I think if I could just say to my 16-year-old self a couple of things. One, the way that people treat you is not who you are. And be yourself and embrace it, because hiding yourself away doesn't make you happy. And it also won't make the haters happy either. And when I started to embrace, I used to get called weird all the time. Like my boyfriends, they'd be like, God, why are you so weird? Because I would dance in my kitchen. I dance when I'm brushing my teeth. I'm like a very funny person. And I was just hiding away the best part of me that felt really good. And so I think when I finally decided, when somebody says you're weird, and I'm like, yeah, I am. I love it. When I started to embrace who I was and just be seen and be okay with other people's opinions and me not mattering, my whole life changed.
Oh, I love that. And isn't it funny that like in what you do now, actually owning your weird and being you and standing out is your superpower. That's
it is
the
my
thing.
superpower.
That's the secret weapon.
Yes. And even the most straight-laced people, I can get them to crack a smile. And maybe they don't like my method, but they at least know that I'm being me.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, I love that. I feel like so many 16-year-olds need to know that.
That's a lot of the reasons why I wrote my book, because it has so many different exercises that are very straightforward. It's just to simplify things. But what would you say to your 16-year-old self? I kind of imagine 16-year-old Carly was a badass. She was a very popular badass girl.
Do you know what's so funny though? So you say that, And it's really funny is since I did my first episode, I talked a little bit about my childhood and stuff like that. And I never felt like I fitted in. So I actually felt really uncomfortable as a kid and growing up. And I was always felt like I was desperate to be in the in crowd. And I never felt like I fitted in at all, because when everyone was hanging out on, around like the shop corners and stuff, I was at my ballet lessons and I was at my dance lessons every single night. So I never got into that like social scene. But just as a person, I always felt like I was just trying to be someone. But it's so funny because since I did that podcast, a load of my old school friends reached out to me and they said, like, I thought you were always the cool crowd. Like, I thought you were the one. I thought you were the coolest girl in school and I always wanted to be you. And I had no idea about that. Like, I honestly really did not feel that way. I felt so uncomfortable in my skin. I felt like I had no idea who I was, what I wanted to be. And I was just petrified that someone would figure out that I wasn't that cool. And I think I was probably a bit of a bitch because of it, because I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. So I was portraying this, I don't know, I wasn't a good version of myself at all. So actually, funny enough, you saying like, I feel like you're a badass. My thing was going to say to my 16-year-old self, just stop trying to fit in, like exactly the same thing. Stop trying to be what you're not. You're actually a really sweet girl. You like people and you like to do stupid things, and you don't like all these things that all these other kids want, and like they want to hang around and like do all this stuff on the shop by the shops, and you don't want to do that actually. And it's cool, like it's fine if you don't want to do that. So yeah, that's what I would say to my 16-year-old self, really just stop trying to fit in, because exactly the same thing when you get older, that is going to be your superpower. That's the thing that people are going to comment on and say, I love that you're different. I love that you're you. And yeah,
I feel like though what we just shared is actually applicable to 26-year-olds, 36-year-olds, 46-year-olds, and forever, because there are going to be men and women deep in their life who still feel like they can't put themselves out there, who still feel like they can't be seen, who still feel like nobody wants to see what they have to offer. And to anybody out there who's listening, being like, well, I still feel this way, please let yourself be seen, because there's somebody out there who needs to connect with you.
Yeah.
We always, again, we end up searching for what we think we need, but people are searching for you, your authentic self. So just bring it out.
Totally. It is the scariest thing, isn't it? I think, like putting yourself out there and thinking, yeah, but what if people don't like me? And that's fine, because some people are just gonna, by you being yourself, you are given permission to someone else to be themselves. And if they see you stepping out and thinking, oh my God, this is me, they're like, maybe it's okay for me to do the same. Maybe it gives people permission. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Not everybody's going to be liked, and that's okay. That's why I say what people think of me is none of my business.
So true. And obviously, if you're getting into the space of building a business online and really ramping that up, that's something you really need to work on, like being okay with people not liking you. Because when you focus on making sure that everyone likes you, it clouds everything. Everything you do is out of integrity. Nothing is authentic, because it's always charged with that thought process.
People pleasing.
Work. Yeah. Oh yeah, people pleasing. I'm a recovered people pleaser.
Oh, ditto.
That was some deep work. Oh
I feel like if we sat here and talked about all the things we've recovered from, we'd be here all night.
Oh my God.
Perfectionist, people pleaser, all the things.
So much. And no one really knows that, I think. Sometimes they think when they see you online or whatever, and you're like confident, you're out there and you're being yourself and you're just like, yeah, I'm myself and I love it. They don't really realize like all the work that's gone into that and the stuff that you really had to break through. And yeah, definitely the people pleasing thing, it still catches me out sometimes. I'm not even going to lie. Sometimes it will still, I'll find myself really overthinking something, and it just really upsets me, that the idea that I've upset someone else. And Kurt has to be like, come on, you did the right thing.
It's good to have a partner like that.
It is. It's so good, isn't it? To just call you out, and it's exciting. But that's why as well, I'm such a massive, massive, massive fan of these group coaching programs, because it's one thing to do like a digital course and you're doing it in your own time. And I think that's brilliant. But actually, one of the most valuable things, definitely from the mastermind that I did, was just hearing other people, and someone would have a breakthrough about something. And I'd be like, ooh, okay, that is a little bit of me there. And, you know, and I think you learn so much from other people. And yeah, there's so much value in group coaching.
And the accountability. You can't hide.
Yeah.
Your online course can stay on your computer forever.
Exactly.
But that's why there's an interview process. Whenever anybody applies for any of my programs, there's an interview process, because I want to make sure I will never exchange money, right, between somebody who's not willing and ready to do the work. They have to be ready. And even if they're not totally ready, I will get them ready fast. There's no hiding.
It's so good. I love it. So if anyone is listening to this, if you are a coach, if you know anyone who's a coach and you think you need some guidance and you're like, okay, I just need to be told what to do. I need the accountability. I need to get some serious movement going in my life and my business, then give us a little message on Instagram, reach out to us, and we can tell you all about this course that we're doing.
And then if you do have any questions about anything on this podcast about the money mindset, feel free to shoot us a DM. Obviously, we know that we just gave you a ton of information, but what this is really about is just opening your eyes to the fact that something better is out there.
Yeah.
Right? Wherever you're right now, wherever you're stuck, it doesn't have to be that way. And things change so dramatically in a short period of time. I think people think that it takes sometimes decades to make big changes. No, changes can happen a day, a week, a month, but they don't happen unless you do something differently.
That's the thing. Like a year can go and you can literally be in the exact same position, despite all of your efforts, despite all of your thinking about all the stuff that you want to do. Or if you literally tunnel vision focus for 14 weeks, literally by the end of the 14 weeks, you can have a completely transformed business, mindset, energy, focus. And that's what we're really aiming for, isn't it?
Can't wait.
Yay. Amazing. So
do a little dance over here.
Okay, do it. So if anyone wants to binge out on you, they need to binge out on your TikTok, because you are TikTok master. I've done 2 videos and I think I've got 2 followers. So
I'm one of them.
You are one of them, actually. I wouldn't check me out on TikTok, but what's your name on TikTok?
So it's at Michelle Hillier, MICHELLEHILLIER. Yeah, TikTok, find me there. Send me a message, follow me. If you follow me, make sure you comment on one of the videos and say it's like, hey, I'm following you, because it's really hard to see who's following you on TikTok.
Amazing. And your Instagram?
Is Michelle M Hillier. Apparently there's a lot of Michelle Hilliers on Instagram, so I had to do all the things.
For the English folk, that's a full stop.
Full stop. Oh my gosh.
Dot. Michelle dot.
Michelle M Hillier.
Yeah.
Smiley face arugula.
No arugula. Nay, a rogue. Amazing. Thank you so much, Giselle. I absolutely love chatting to you. That's a little insight into our WhatsApp chat history.
Welcome to the madness.
Welcome to the madness. But I'm so excited for us to get our program started, and just excited to really, really help so many people. This is what it's all about. Thank you so much. I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.